Hey, what's up everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to Karpo Gaming and another Wulong video. Well, we finally have a new update and this one is huge. It's going to change the way we play the game for sure. So, let's talk about the full patch notes right here, right now. Let's go! Once again, thanks for watching everybody. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. Now this update is huge and it has changes to bosses and weapons as well. First off, this is not going to be for the Xbox Series X and S or the One or Microsoft Store. That's going to be at a later date, hopefully later today. Here are the patch notes. Let's start off with, first, additional features. They added a function that allowed players to carry over the battle flag and marking flag progress when returning to a previously completed battlefield. Now, this option can be enabled or disabled via the travel menu by choosing which battlefield to return to. When enabled, some of the shortcuts such as doors and ladders will become unlocked by default. That is pretty cool. They also added a diagram to learn Wizardy spell screen. Set Wizardy spell screen and 5 phases affinities under tutorial, allowing players to better understand the affinity between each of the 5 phases. They added functions to the online lobby, recruit and recruit ally scenes, allowing players to part ways with companions, and added 5 virtues to the tutorial screen and the documents menu. And next up, we have adjustments. For Deflect, they made upwards adjustments to the striking of the Spirit's Guard, lower limits, and downguard adjustments to the Spirit's damage dealt upon successfully performing deflects. Now here comes the weapon changes. Yep, here are the weapon categories. They optimized the timing at which players can activate Deflect to cancel the recovery sequence after attacks, increase the spirit damage dealt with spirit attacks, and decrease the boost in spirit attack power when spirit is high. For the straight saber, they improved the turnaround between normal dash attack. Same thing for the curved saber, and for the sword, same thing, but they also shortened the startup sequence of normal attacks as well. For the glaive, they shortened the startup sequence when activating a follow-up sprint attack after a normal attack, and for the halberd, they increased the movement distance of the first swing of normal attacks, shortened the recovery sequence between normal attack combos, and increased the movement distance of the follow-up spirit attack after a normal attack, and optimized the hitbox. For the spear, they increased the move distance of the first swing of normal attacks. For slashing spear, they shortened the recovery sequence between normal attack combos, and last but not least, for the staff, they shortened the recovery sequence after normal dash attacks. Now for the martial arts changes. All martial arts except Thunderous Impact and Tiger Tail Lash has increased spirit damage dealt. Lightspeed Gust shortened the startup sequence, increased the speed and range of the thrust, and reduced the opening and defense after attacks. Meteoric Strike improved the turnaround between attacks. Dawning Sky made adjustments so it is possible to perform an aerial skill after jumping. Starlight Blade shortened the time it takes to build up energy and shortened the startup sequence, and Cosmic Synergy shortened the startup sequence, increased the speed of the thrust, increased the speed of the backwards leap upon successful hits, added sound effects to signify the timing for additional inputs, and added a visual effect for successful attacks, and reduced the opening and defense after attacks. For the Golden Star, adjusted the hitbox and adjusted hit stop. Whirlwind Advance increased the movement distance of the first swing. Violent Sandstorm shortened the startup sequence and adjusted the speed of consecutive attacks, and Ill Wind reduced the opening and defense after attacks. Thunderous Impact adjusted hit stop, decreased spirit damage dealt. Shimmering Sun shortened the startup sequence. Looming Cloud increased movement distance during secondary action and adjusted pushback. Mongrel Rampart added an active hitbox accompanying the thrust and reduced the opening and defense after attacks. Prancing Dragon shortened the startup sequence, adjusted the timing of the transition to the secondary action, increased the swing speed of the weapons, and reduced the openings and the defense after attacks. And Dragon Flash adjusted the hit stop. Python Turnover adjusted pushback, adjusted the hitbox. Panther's Grip adjusted pushback. Emerging Dragon shortened the startup sequence, increased the movement distance upon successful attacks, made changes so that the enemy is thrown down by successful attacks, added visual effects for successful attacks. Tiger Lash, they shortened the startup sequence, shortened the distance of the backstep and at the beginning, increased the distance of the subsequent forward movement, and decreased spirit damage dealt. And Fanning Peacock adjusted the hit intervals. 4. Falcon Strike, shortened the startup sequence. Stage Hunter, added active hitbox accompanying swing movement, shortened the startup recovery before swinging down. Soaring Phoenix made it possible to launch secondary attacks in midair after the first attack hits. Feasting Urasane, shortened the startup sequence. Night Bird Spin, adjusted pushback, adjusted hitbox, and removed damage capabilities when retrieving the weapon. Horn Strike, shortened the startup sequence, made changes so that the enemy is thrown back when hit with the upward swing, and made adjustments so that it's possible to perform an aerial skill after jumping. Plummeting Ape, they also reduced the openings in defense after attacks. Serpent's Torment, shortened the startup sequence, increased the movement distance at the beginning, and reduced the openings in defense after attacks. Marching Dragon, shortened the startup sequence, adjusted the spread of flurry attacks, and shortened the recovery sequence while transitioning to the finishing blow. Parting Grass, shortened the startup sequence, reduced the opening in defense after attacks. Heaven Divide made changes so that the players withstand enemy attacks, including critical blows, while their Q veins are active. Mountain Strike reduced the opening in defense after attacks. And Rising Tides startup the startup sequence, increased the rotation speed, adjusted the timing of the transition to the finishing blow, made changes so that the enemy is thrown down in the final stages of the attack. Mountain Buster shortened the startup sequence, adjusted the speed of flurry attacks, and expanded the area effects of the final shockwave. Undercut Sprint adjusted pushback, shortened the recovery sequence while transitioning to sight, reduced the openings in defense after attacks. And Rock Crash adjusted the hitbacks while falling. Boulder Glide changes the shock waves into stone damage. Sea Split shortened the time it takes to build up energy, adjusted the intervals between stages of build up energy, shortened the recovery sequence when transitioning to strike. Heaven's Reversal increased the movement distance of each sequence. Skyward Evergrave, they increased the movement distance and made adjustments so that it's possible to perform an aerial strike after jumping. Endless Flowing, they adjusted the fastest possible time for the transition to the final sequence and adjusted and increased the movement distance. Sudden Tornado, they shortened the startup sequence, and a Waving Willow, they shortened the startup sequence as well. Thorn Cleave shortened the startup recovery sequence. Crescent Gale made changes so that the player can move in any direction during activation, reduced the opening in defense after attacks, and adjusted pushback as well. Blossom Stream made changes so that the martial arts technique consumes spirit in every frame rather than only in certain frames during flurry attacks, reduces spirit consumption of flurry attacks, and made changes so that the barrage of hits ends when spirit is depleted. Falling Leaf shortened the startup sequence and increased movement distance, and Falling Leaves shortened the startup recovery sequence. And Scattered Leaves, they also improved the visibility. Now we have some more changes, but this time to Wizardy spells. Barb Conductor, Scorch Sweep, Scorch Stream, Scorch Spinner, Frozen Arrow, and Frozen Blow all have reduced spirit consumption, but Force Blow also have increased attack speed and increased stone accumulation when landing hits. Also, for the Bursting Fireball, they made changes so that the spell effect does not manifest if the projectile is successfully deflected. Venomous Discharge made changes so that the spell effect does not manifest if the projectile is successfully deflected, and Venom Snare made changes so that the spell effect does not manifest if the projectile is successfully deflected. Increased toxin accumulation when letting hits, extend the intervals between the movements when damage is received over time, and reduce toxin damage. Now for bosses specifically, Zhang Ring, they made adjustments to the AI, made changes to his actions at the start of the battle, added more attacks, combo pattern changes specific to resummonings of clones, made adjustments so that the resummoning would take place even if there are some clones remaining. Zhang Ring no longer resummons his clones more than once per battle. Reduced damage dealt by lightning attacks to a wide area of effect, adjusted how far the player is pushed back when hit by the tornado attack, extended the amount of time between the inactive effect before the strike and the actual strike during consecutive lightning attacks. Shorten the duration of the ball of lightning, fine-tuning his behavior accordingly. Changes specifically to the real Zhang Ring, they increased spirit damage dealt, increased spirit recovery speed to make it equivalent to that of other characters. They extended the time before his spirit starts recovering, and last but not least, they slightly reduced the maximum amount by which his spirit gauge lower limit can be reduced. Now changes specifically to his clones. Now they slightly increase HP damage received, reduce HP damage dealt, reduce spirit damage dealt, and slightly increases spirit recovery speed. They also reduce the maximum amount by which the spirit gauge's lower limits can be reduced. They also adjusted the lock on camera, and last but not least, they made other minor adjustments. So hopefully this boss won't be as hard as it used to be. Now for Tattooey, they made adjustments to the AI, reduced spirit consumption of critical blows, made adjustments to the durability of hardened parts to make it easier for part destructions to occur, extended the time before the spirit starts recovering, increased spirit recovery speed, reduced HP damage received, reduced spirit damage received, increased the amount of spirit recovery when Tattooey lands attacks, changes specifically to the first phase of the battle. They added one additional fireball attack and expanded the area of effect, fixed a bug that prevented some hits from landing, changes targetable parts of torso, right hoof and left hook, and they added a sequence to the second phase of the battle that involves its parts recovering from damage. They improved the efficiency of critical blows in the second phase of the battle, adjusted the lock on camera, and also made other minor adjustments. Now for our Yi Young. They made adjustments to the AI, adjustments to the lock on camera, and other minor adjustments. Demonized Lubu. They made adjustments to the UAI, slightly increased spirit recovery speed, and extended the time before his spirit starts recovering. Adjusted the timing before the transition of the later phases of the battle, and made other minor adjustments. Now for Yuling and Wen Chu, they increased morale rank in Path of the Crouching Dragon 12 and Path of the Rising Dragon 14. Increased the amount of morale points earned by attacking Yuling Chu and Wen Chu using action that consumes spirit. Reduced the amount of morale points earned by attacking minor enemies using action that consumes spirit prior to the battle against Yang Ling and Wen Chu, and slightly increases recovery speed, extended the time it takes for recovery speed, and increased spirit damage received. Now for Demonized Yang Xiao. They made adjustments to the AI, added more attack combo pattern, reduced HP damage received, reduced spirit damage received, added ice projectiles to the step action sequence, adjusted the impact position of the ice projectile attacks, adjusted attributes of two types of action that involve generally ice pillars, and reduced the damage received when elemental attacks hit the shield, and made other minor adjustments. For Yin Ji, they made adjustments to the AI, reduced HP damage received, slightly increased spirit recovery speed, extended the time before the spirit starts recovering, and reduced the amount of morale points earned in the battle. For the embodiment of Demon Ki, they made adjustments to the AI, added more attacks combo patterns, made overall adjustments to defense, spirit, and attack power, made it easier for part destruction to occur, adjusted the lock on camera, changes targetable parts to head and torso, reduced the spirit consumption of critical blows, made adjustments to smooth out the movements when downed or during recovery, slightly reduced the speed of lightning pillar attacks, added a tracking ability to one of the fireballs in the fireball attacks, changes specifically to the poison bog attacks. They decreased the number of bogs generated, adjusted the time between the warning between the strike and the actual strike during the bog attacks, shortened the attack's activation duration, changed the reaction when attack hits, and slightly reduced the height at which pillars are generated, and adjusted the fall speeds of icy pillar attacks, and also shrank the hitbox of critical blows using balls of demonic key, and made other minor adjustments. For others, they revised the condition for online matchmaking to improve certain conditions that made it difficult to match, and they improved action synchronization in environments with significant online delays. Next up, we have major bug fixes. They fixed crash-prone situations that occurred in certain environments, fixed a bug that allowed players to go outside of bounds of the certain stage from certain location in some stages, fixed a bug allowing enemies to be hit with attacks through certain walls in some stages, fixed a bug that would increase the amount of spirit that would be obtained while in high spirit, fixed a bug that would sometimes cause fatal strikes against Zumalong to fail and perform from certain distances, fix a bug which player granted the positive effect Lion's Roar from the Wizardy spell Lion's Roar when rendered impervious to damage from fatal strike, fix a bug causing the duration of positive and negative effects to decrease while the game was loading, including the period prior to boss fights, fix a bug in which the beginning for the second phase of the fight against the demonized Sanjian would not play correctly, fix a bug which some of the Shangju would not respond when restarting the main battlefield darkness over the Hanshu River. Pretty sure I'm slaughtering that. Fix the bug that caused the morale ranks of minor enemies to be evaluated to the equivalent of bosses in the sub-battlefield Massacre of Migyu Fort and the Path of the Rising Dragon. Fix the bug that caused the game to show an interface notifying the player acquired arrows projectiles when the special effect ammo replenished upon fatal strikes was activated, even if they possessed the maximum number of projectiles. And fix the bug that would sometimes call Beishi's movement to cease during multiplayer sessions. Fix a bug that will sometimes cause the information above guest player's head to disappear from the host player screen during recruit session. Fix a bug that will cause the titles obtaining rate in battle summary to be stuck at 99% even though all titles have been acquired. Fix the bug in which damage values for ballista attacks were reflected in damage values recorded in battle summary. After applying the update, the value for high damage dealt in single attacks will be reset. They also fixed a bug that would sometimes cause the copyright to appear twice when taking pictures in photograph mode. Fix the bug that prevented equipment weight from being taken into account for jumping and landing action sounds, and fix other minor bugs. And last but not least, for Steam and Microsoft Store versions, major bug fixes. Reduce the processing load in environments using CPUs with a large number of cores, and fix the bug that will sometimes cause the mouse cursor to appear while using the pad to perform UI operations, even though the mouse was not being moved. So boom, there you have it. I told you this update was huge. There is a ton of changes to bosses, to weapons, and a whole lot more, making this game just totally different, and it should be a whole lot better. But for right now, that's pretty much going to for the video. I hope you truly enjoyed it. As always, if you are new to the channel, how you doing, and welcome. Don't forget to subscribe. Right here at Karpo Gaming, upload a wide variety of videos, range from updates, tips and tricks, guides and news, and a whole lot more. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Once again, thank you everybody for all your love and support, and as always, I'll be seeing y'all in the next one. Later.